Oh, well, hello and welcome to my second message or my second talk on stress and how to handle stress. So, if you listened to the last video I posted on YouTube, I talked about what stress is. And essentially, stress is a reaction to demands or pressures on our lives. We can have all sorts of demands and pressures. They can be demands for work or demands for family, demands in relationships. And stress is basically an outworking of those demands. And stress can manifest itself in all sorts of different ways. So stress can be we don't sleep very well, or we sleep too much, we eat, we don't eat, drinking lots of coffee, not drinking. Then there can be physical ailments like stomach problems, or there can also be like depression or anxiety. All sorts of different things can be symptoms of stress. And one of the things I talked about ways in which we can alleviate some of those demands to enable us to handle the stress. And we looked at three different things basically. So we looked at the idea of casting our cares upon Him because He cares for us. I talked about that idea of essentially finding out what God's will for your life is and working in that. I talked about identifying demands or pressures that can be removed. And we looked at some length at demands and pressures that could be picked up by somebody else. So pressures that can be delegated, basically. So delegated to colleagues in a workplace or family members, be that your partner if you have a partner, or children if you have children. Just ways, friends even, just ways in which the demands can be shared as a way of reducing the demands, and so mitigating or helping to alleviate stress. Today I just want to talk about three more tools or ways in which we can help manage that. So the first one is just the importance of setting aside a time of rest. Looking at Jesus and the disciples, he said to them, "Come aside by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while. For there were many coming and going. They did not even have time to eat." It's incredible, isn't it? There was so much demand and pressure on Jesus and his team that there wasn't even time to eat. And the New Testament, as I'm sure you're aware, is written in Greek. And the Greek word that's used there for rest a while, is the idea of no labour so that strength is regained. So it's a rest that has also refreshing that comes with it. So just, if Jesus and his disciples had to rest, then perhaps we do. I'm reminded of the 7-day creation in Genesis 1. It says in Genesis chapter 2 verses 1 and 1 to 3. "Thus the heavens and the earth and all the host of them were finished. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made." So God in Genesis sets this pattern of resting one day in 7. And I think, people would agree, modern science would agree, that now rest's important, and we do need to have a time of rest. The Apostle Paul wrote about Sabbath rest. He talked about people resting on a Sunday, and which was, of course, the pattern from the Old Testament. And he spoke of that, how that was basically a shadow of Jesus. But I think taking apart that, I think there's still a principle here which we can apply to our lives, and that is to ensure we have a time of rest. And what do I mean by a time of rest? Whatever is work for you, you need to have a break from that work, where you can rest and recuperate. And however you work that out in your schedule and in what you do, you're the expert, but you know how to do that. I just believe there's a wisdom in having that rest and not driving yourself into the ground. Now some people say to me, well, that's great, Dave, but I can't rest because I need to do A, B, C. And I say, well, okay, let's look at some of these other things that perhaps you can get other people to help. Maybe there's things you're doing that you shouldn't be doing. The classic one is the scroll up, isn't it? I mean, how much time do we spend each day scrolling up on social media and stuff like that? So, let's try and tackle that. If it's getting out of hand, we're spending too much time on that, and I'm sure that can then clear time to rest or to do some of these other things. So the next thing I wanted to talk about briefly was just planning demands. So you've just got all this stuff in your head. I would say the first thing to do is to list it out. Have a to-do list. Right? Well, that's great, Dave, but my to-do list has 50 items on it. Well, okay. So what happens there is you get through the day and all you see is 3 things drop off the list and you see 5 things being added. And that actually increases that sense of pressure, and it increases stress. So what can we do? So the thing to do is start to plan out, okay, I will do these 3 things tomorrow, and that's going to be my goal. So you've got a list of 50 that needs to be done, but does it all need to be done by tomorrow? So pick out the things that need to be done tomorrow and plan to do those the next day. And in fact, you can go through the whole of your list or the bulk of your list doing things like that, working out what's not everything might be important, but not everything is urgent. So work out those things that really, really, really need to be done quickly, and those things that can wait. And in the final analysis, there's a lot that can wait. So just very simple example with revision. Okay, you have a child that's doing some revision for, I don't know, Year 9 exams or something. They have some revision guides which they can use. So you can work out how many days of revision they have. Say they can do 5 days a week of revision. You work out the size of the revision guide and it works out, I don't know, 6-7 pages a day or something. Okay, that could be quite challenging, but you've now got a target to aim, and you know that if you can keep up 5 days a week with those 7 pages a day, you can do all your revision in time for the exams. Start to relax. So I think as we set these goals, as we start to plan out these things and see these, making it more bite-sized, if you like, then that can help us feel good as we see and reduce the stress as we're getting this stuff done. Finally, I just wanted to talk about mental attitude, and I'll talk a lot more about this in the next talk on stress and handling stress. But just a couple of things really. We don't find burdensome those things which are enjoyable to us. So if you really enjoy your job, then people that really enjoy their job don't necessarily find it a burden and can handle quite a lot of stress, a lot of demands without becoming stressed. So if you like as well, I think, if you're on holiday and you're sat by a swimming pool for a week, how many books do you read? But if I said to you, I need you to read 3 books or 4 books in a week, which is maybe what you have to do when you're studying for an exam, you can become very stressed out by that. But if it's something you're enjoying, if it's something you enjoy doing, then actually the demand is not a stressful demand. It's a demand, it's a pressure. You have to cope with it, but it doesn't create stress. So there's something in that, in our mental attitude towards the demands and towards the work that we're doing. I'm going to talk a lot more about that in my next talk. And just give us some tips on how to address that. Okay, thank you all. If you've enjoyed, just like, please subscribe. If you found things helpful, please add that in the comments. If it's things you disagree with, please add that in the comments, and I will try and get back to them. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.